Niles, I had the idea that kids gotta do. I go forward and pass out. I never usually pass things out. I just mix vinegar, baking soda to shoot a rubber stopper down the hallway, and they got to find out what ratios. And they keep going back to mix. When I was at Niles, we didn't do any measuring. They just went and threw a bunch of baking soda and a bunch of vinegar, and they went out and shook the bottle. And so I just got water bottles, and we got, I think, number 2 stoppers. At that time, I was putting the baking soda in a test tube and the vinegar in there. They put the stopper in there, and when they were ready to go, they'd shake it, and then they'd hold it, and they'd see how far they could shoot it down. With the next generation science standards, my teachers that were working at Downers Grove North, they said, well, let's make it an engineering design idea. So we gave them a bag of baking soda and I think 500 milliliters of vinegar for each group. And that was all they had to use. They had to buy more supplies with points, or one teacher used tickets. But then we also, in our school, we started to put in the science engineering practice. We had them design a launcher. Like, what would it be? And so we got everything from, and I just brought a couple here. Like this was one, and there was a pencil in here before. So this one's modifiable, so they could angle their bottle. It had to fit the bottle, and this was just something simple, probably a kid threw together, but it's got some thought behind it. And the idea with the science and engineering practice is that they got to design and redesign. You know, so if it shot and hit the ceiling, well then they'll try another one. And this was easily modifiable, nothing really too expensive there. They had to put this on the strap to keep the bottle from flying up out of the way. So that was one. Then you get the kind where they got, you know, Dad at home was the construction worker, and then they could just put the bottle in there, and that helped them with their launcher. And that's not really a big part of it. They could hold it, certainly, but we were trying to give one kid sprayed the stuff it, you know, what you put along the doors, made a volcano out of it, and that was his launcher at the angle. But he was a special ed kid that didn't pay attention to chemistry all year. In third quarter, he gets there, and he just got into this project because he could just mess around and slosh stuff around. And then we had one group of kids, this was a group of girls, that designed this, and so they really got into this. And so it's, you know, it's whatever, so, right? So, you know, for baking soda and vinegar, and now, so where did the measurement come in? What was really neat was we did this in honors first semester, and we had kids going out and finding that vinegar's 5%. Well, what's that mean, 5%? It's 5% acetic acid. Well, what's that mean? It gave them a purpose then when we did get into stoichiometric ratios for understanding how these things start to react at the molecular level. Then we had an honors guy, Matt Weber, if you happen to know him. He took it another step further. Same ideas back there. They had to use their baking soda and vinegar. He said, you have to make 40 milliliters of CO2 gas. 40 milliliters of CO2 gas. Figure out the ratio of baking soda and vinegar you need from that. So he took it that other step further. So that was, you know, that's kind of cool. And now today I did, we standardized NaOH yesterday, or with KHP, and today they had to find out the concentration of vinegar, so we brought it even another step further back. Is 5% vinegar really 5%? And so my lab today was called "Is Heinz Really Worth the Money?" So we got generic vinegar and we had Heinz vinegar, and a bottle of Heinz that size was $1.97, and a bottle of generic was $1.79. So we're doing the cost per acetic acid molecule and see if it really does work that way. So just some things when you're talking about science, engineering, design, redesign. You know, kids will. They're only limited by their own creativity, and sometimes we cause them to be limited, right? So if you just open up the doors and let them play and investigate, this happens here. So that's, if you want to know more about that. I've got a rubric so I did not design any of these papers. These were designed by, this was designed by Matt Weber. The one about the cork launch there that has them design it, a teacher by the name of Megan Mars, who's our AP Chem teacher and special, she teaches the co-taught Chem 300, just a magnificent teacher. She did that. And this rubric for the cork launch of how to grade it was designed by Matt Weber. So I didn't design any of these papers. I told him I have to give him credit because I stole it from him as I was walking out of school today. So I'm sharing that with you. At our school at North, so you've heard me say this already, we're integrating all of Common Core with the whole school. So when you hear speaking and listening and writing, we're doing that. We had a team of 35 that are now saying that if you're going to do reading and writing and speaking and listening in science, what does that look like? So we're starting to use the rubrics from the speaking and listening skills in science. Kid gets up and gives a presentation. Now we're grading it using the same rubric all the 9th and 10th grade teachers are. It's really exciting. We were going to move to go over the writing standards next year, but we felt that was putting too much on teachers' plates. Like they were just like, whoa, you know, back the Common Core truck up here. But what we're doing is our whole focus next year is going to be on argument. How can kids put a logical argument together, sequential, and that includes lab reports, that includes writing to an authentic audience on a blog, that includes making video, like what does that look like when we start to write? So it's exciting. This is part of that. I'm not going to count. So, and this is the rubric for the core design launch, so you'll see some of that in there. You know, do you account for creativity?
Nice job, Con.
It's all right. That's not
Time is not worth the money.